when I went carnivore and I added in creatine at 20 grams and I was having hydrogen water throughout the day, literally the best I've ever felt in my entire life. I literally felt like a hot knife going through warm butter.
Wait, it was carnivore, hydrogen, and what else?
And creatine, the three. And I felt alive.
Tim Gray, multi-time, at least annual, maybe even biannual, if that's the actual term that means twice a year, podcast guest now. Tim, usually when I introduce you as the biohacker, but now I'm seeing that you're beginning to be known as the health community guy. Did you just decide you wanted more friends, or what's going on?
I'm short of friends these days. It's a thanks for raising it, actually, dude. I think what I've seen is that so many things have changed in the biohacking space, and I think one thing that really makes it stand out now is that everyone that goes to these events don't necessarily remember the speakers too much or the supplement they've tried, but they always go, "That's where I met blah blah blah," and you always remember the friends you make or the people you meet, not necessarily the technologies and stuff.
Unless you like met them in the ice bath. That happens sometimes.
Or that.
or curled up together, spooning in a hyperbaric chamber.
Exactly. And it's just like, I think, these events are kind of excuses to get back together and hang out with all friends. And I think reuniting the tribe in Austin after PaleoFX's demise and us bringing it back in Austin really made me realize that, holy crap, now I've brought nearly 4,000 people together in London each year and 2,500 people in Austin. It's kind of like I built quite a health community here, and it's kind of the theme for the year. And I think with what you guys are doing with Caleb and Life Network is the community, online community, and bringing everyone together as well. So I feel like it's tribe leaders all aligning and bringing everyone together. So I was just like, actually, I think this is kind of my niche in the biohacking space these days.
Yeah. For people who are new to the game, Tim runs the Health Optimization Summit, originally just out of London. We just did one, or he just did one in Austin. I go to most of them or all of them because they're some of the most fantastic health events of the year. So first of all, if you're listening, show notes, how you can get into the event, VIP tickets, all that, go to bengreenfieldlife.com/Tim 2025. Tim, the event in Austin obviously had a lot in there regarding like community, I talked about the science of loneliness. You're right. That was kind of like the idea of bringing the tribe back together. But was there anything else that kind of stood out as far as the Austin event?
Just that everyone really wanted to get back together again. And there was just this massive, great, health hole with so many micro pockets that was just great to come back together. That was really the takeaway from it. The other thing was that was a big learning for me, actually, was like becoming a tribe leader. I cringe a little bit saying that, but I guess I kind of am these days.
Well, when you say that, you should have like a loincloth and like a feather sticking out of your hair.
Yeah.
Not the stereotype.
But no, I mean, it really is. I think, who would you sit around a campfire with, in the, olden days? Who would be around your fire? And I think it's a great analogy for a fireside chat. Who would be around your fire in your tribe? And I think when you have a tribe and you have connection to, we're doing about 300 million views a year at the moment on social medias, which is pretty insane stuff. And it's like you have a responsibility as a tribe leader to communicate the best you can and act like a king. How would a king behave? And I think there's a lot of drama that goes with an event and lots of opposing forces. And I think, how do you behave like the absolute awesome human and become a king opposed to an evil ruler? And I think it's a big learning for me.
Yeah.
It's a really big learning for me.
Yeah. As long as it's not like a Monty Python king, dude. I mean, you could probably do the accent both.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better, sir. Yeah.
All right. So King Tim, kind of the funnest part about you and me getting a chance to chat a few times on this podcast is it's kind of like the random show of what crazy gadgets and new biohacks has Tim discovered and found. So you probably anticipated this question, but sometimes we rabbit hole quite a bit. but fill me in on some of the sexy new stuff you've been testing in anticipation of the London summit, or just trying out for yourself.
Oh man, there's just so many things going on at the moment. I think the ultimate thing between all of the connecting dots of biohacks is pretty much nature links all of them back together again. And we're using a lot of these things to reverse the damage of technology using technologies, and it's always seems to be something that fits into that. I mean, I think I'm playing with a few new compounds. I'm not sure. Have you played with IP6 yet?
IP6? No.
Yeah, in inositol hexophosphate.
Okay.
Have you not heard of this?
I mean, I've heard of
Okay, so
inositol for sleep.
hmm. So I was put on it about 3 weeks ago by I don't know if you know him actually. Do you know Justin McGuire, who's autonomic coaching? It looks like Incredible Hulk,
No.
but white, not green.
No.
So he's a very good friend of Dr. Dom Nitschwitz and myself, and one of our speakers.
Oh, wait, was he I think I did meet him. Was he in Austin? And he's like a super yoked, like nerded out dude who's also really smart, who told me in the
Yep.
back room, because the last time we were on the show, you shared with me this super powerful antihistamine called ketotifen that actually is pretty good for sleep. Like since our podcast, I use it about once a week. But my issue, and I brought it up, I think Justin was standing there, is that it makes you groggy the next day. And by the way, the reason I use it once a week is it's so effective. I stay in bed too long, so I can only use it if I don't have anything going on the next morning. But he said take saw palmetto extract. Apparently, it binds to a similar receptor, or somehow kind of like viewing light after you use a whole bunch of melatonin. It somehow kicks it off the receptor or something like that. And I tried it, and it actually works. Like you wake up, you take the saw palmetto, and it kind of reduces a lot of the grogginess. So
Yeah, so that's Justin McGuire. I mean, I work with him personally on some health things, but he recently put me on IP6, and I was like, what is this stuff? And I found it to be really interesting to support your immune system and whatnot. And essentially, it chelates iron and inhibits abnormal cell growth. So what that does is it supports your immune system somewhat, and it's a form of inositol, which is obviously a sugar molecule with 6-phosphate group attached. And what it does, it acts as an antioxidant and a metal chelator. And you obviously don't want to do that too much, depending on your iron status. But I found it to be really, really quite interesting.
so this would be like if you let's say you're like a man, because men have more of the hemochromatosis issue, the high iron. This is something you could use to control that instead of, say, giving blood.
Exactly. I mean, I do think giving blood is one of the best. What a great biohack as well. To be fair, let's be honest. But it is kind of offloading a load of toxins to other people.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there's some screening and filtration that takes place, but you're right. So the iron thing, were you doing that because you have high iron?
No, I was doing it for immune support
Okay.
actually, because I've been sort of fighting a sinus thing after a lateral sinus lift about a year ago now, and I keep on getting sinus issues here, but that's supporting that for that, and also my liver enzymes are a little bit high because I've been on a heavy anti-parasite protocol, and so just wanted to support my immune system while coming off of those.
Now the IP6, if that's a metal chelator, I think you said, do you have to have any concerns about it just causing metal to wind up elsewhere in the body, like in your brain or your neural tissue, or does it just kind of pass out in the stool or something?
Exactly, yeah, it draws it out through the stools. It's quite, it's almost like rice. It feels like rice powder. In fact, I think it actually comes from rice in some form. Um, I'm just gonna check
It
on this.
feels like when you poop it out, it feels like rice powder, or like,
No, I mean, it's quite a heavy powder that when
oh,
you
I
go and
see.
you mix it in with your
Okay.
drink. Yeah, so it comes from whole grains like oats and corn and seeds and legumes and nuts and things like that. But yeah, it acts as a phosphate storage molecule. And I found that it's really interesting because my sinuses have got significantly better since being on it for about 3 weeks now, and I've just come off it this morning. And yesterday, I thought I was coming down with, when the back of your throat starts feeling a bit funny, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to come down with something."
Yeah.
I woke up and it was completely gone. It was like bloody fantastic. So I think that combined with my colostrum powder every day seems to help my immune system so much. People around me have had colds and coughs and everything, and I don't seem to get anything when I'm on these two. So
This IP6, is that like an over the counter or a pharmaceutical, or where do you get
yeah,
it?
over the counter, I believe. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems to be well researched and well used as well. Not traditionally medical, but
Huh.
yeah, I found it to be awesome for immune. So anyone that's suffering, getting too many colds or whatnot, or has high iron, but if you have low iron, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, so you thinking like Amazon or iHerb or something like that would have it?
iHerb, I think, got it. Yeah, I mean, Justin actually shipped me some from South Africa.
Oh,
Um, in this case, but yeah, it comes in like a nice little jam jar, which is great. So
legit. South African IP6. You heard it here first, folks.
yeah.
What else is cool?
So something I've been looking into recently, which is super good, is exosome eye drops, potentially for glaucoma. Not for myself, for a friend of mine. So uh, I've got a very good stem cell friend of mine from Stockholm, and I'm going to have some stem cells done with him. And a friend of mine, I just happened to be at the time, and he said, "I got glaucoma. Can I get stem cells for my glaucoma?" So I asked the stem cell guy, and he was like, "Well, actually, no, I'm not really too comfortable about injecting anywhere near eyes. I think I'll give that one a miss."
Did you hear about the story in the US? I think it was the Stem Cell Institute in Florida. 3 people wound up blind from stem cell treatments in their eyes. This was like 3 years ago, maybe more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about
So
that.
maybe that's why he was a little gun shy.
So he said, "No, but exosome eye drops are fantastic for this, because it helps obviously reduce inflammation and helps repairing, various other things as well to go with that, like astaxanthin." But yeah, so exosome eye drops, I think, is quite an emerging biohack for eye health.
So where do you get those?
Flown over from Florida on dry ice, apparently.
And are they like something you can just like go to a website and order, or you need a
I think it has
doctor's?
to come. Yeah, I think it needs to come via a proper doctor. Yeah.
I wonder if they're coming from the company Juvexo out of Florida. There's a company called Juvexo. I interviewed them on my podcast a few months ago out of Miami. I forget the guy's name, but apparently they're very purified, clean exosomes derived from umbilical cord tissue. And when I talked with them, we were talking about the injectable version or an IV version or intranasal, but maybe they do the eye drops too.
Yeah, I've got some news I'll tell you offline afterwards that maybe we can share in a year's time on the
All
next
right.
podcast about this.
All right. So when you put them in, do you notice anything as far as vision or clarity or?
Haven't used them yet, but
Okay.
from what I've looked up and read into for obviously for my friend, it's actually quite interesting how well it works for glaucoma. But obviously, as you know, glaucoma comes from sugar. Well, often comes from sugar metabolism and too high sugar diet and genetic component, as well as a methylation component as well. So I think exosomes is a good an amazing plaster, but not necessarily the fix long term. But it does seem to have some good results. But again, anecdotally.
Yeah. I like how you say plaster. We say Band-Aid. You say plaster. It's an
Mhm.
amazing plaster. What else? What else has been turning your head?
Um, well, Qualia, this is a good one. Qualia, the nootropic that's been around forever and a
Yeah.
day seems to be the longest
Qualia, mind.
mind. Yeah. I love this stuff. I always had, even before I was known as Tim Biohacker or the community guy or whatever label there is this year. But I have always used Qualia and really like it. But obviously it's got choline in it. And what I've really enjoyed doing is stacking it with paracetam, aniracetam and paracetam. Because I don't know, have you played around with much with paracetam or aniracetam or any of these smart drugs?
A little bit. The only smart drug I kind of like have that I occasionally use is modafinil. Like if I'm super sleep deprived, usually like international travel, I take that. And then I think Newtopia has a racetam in one of their products, I believe. I might be misspeaking, but it's not like I don't have a bunch just like laying around. Um, it's just describe racetams to people.
So, racetam basically opens up the receptors for choline or acetylcholine in the brain.
Okay.
Whereas pretty much every other smart drug there is plays on acetylcholine levels in the brain. Whereas paracetam actually opens up those receptors so that you actually use more acetylcholine, so you have better brain power. So when you stack something like Qualia Mind, which has choline in it as well as various other things, and you use paracetam at the same time, you're giving your body more levels and more ability to use those. So yeah, I find it to be almost euphoric as well when I stack the two together. which I find super interesting. I usually like listening to music or whatever, and I'm in focus mode, and I feel like I just feel like I'm coming up on something, something I shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's kind of that's kind of the choline things, like the concept of the brain omelet. Eggs, a little bit of smoked salmon, and some like walnut pesto. With the two very dense sources of choline. I never put the brain omelet in any of my cookbooks, but those are dietary sources of choline, and supplemental sources tend to be a little bit higher. But either way, that's an interesting stack to combine racetam with the choline. And so you would just take something like Qualia Mind, and then a piracetam or aniracetam along with that.
Mm. And you can buy those over the counter or online or whatnot. But it's actually interesting because you mentioned modafinil. I've never really liked modafinil. I always found it to be a bit jittery and weird for me. And some people say that they feel like more like themselves when they're taking modafinil, but I feel jittery and like I've had some
Yeah, I
non.
feel the same way, almost robotic, like very analytical, like wide awake, especially sleep deprived, but yeah, not quite myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't enjoy it, and I really enjoy piracetam. It's really, like, I really don't enjoy, modafinil at all, but piracetam is a fantastic one when stacked with qualia anyway. I mean, I think, I've just put them head to head here just to see how they sit, and it's like, piracetam is a cognitive enhancer versus modafinil is alertness, focus, and anti-fatigue, which I can't sleep on the stuff even, 12 hours
Oh,
later,
yeah.
it hits me hard.
Yeah, usually after you dose it, you can't sleep well at night, and you usually have early morning awakenings. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's useful if you gotta get through a really tough period of sleep deprivation, but I think there's some biological implications to long-term use, especially. And I know some people have been taking that stuff for years, just, like, every day for years and years. And, I mean, if you can do it, great, more power to you, but I don't think I could get by on that.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I really don't enjoy it, but I think if you tried piracetam, anyone that's on modafinil and want to try piracetam and stack it with Qualia Mind, I think you're going to be extremely happy with the new stack because it makes you a little bit happier. I find so the mechanism, it increases acetylcholine use and enhances brain signaling, whereas modafinil boosts dopamine, histamine, and improves wakefulness. And
Where do people get, racetams?
good old Google. Good
Google?
old Google.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. There's quite a few different. There's oxiracetam, piracetam, aniracetam, like a whole load of different ones you can have that have different strengths. So you might want 5 milligrams of oxiracetam, but 100 milligrams of piracetam.
Which one do you think works best if you stack it with Qualia Mind?
I think piracetam
Okay.
specifically is my favorite.
So you got a piracetam Qualia Mind combo. What about technologies? Because whenever you do these expos, this is what I like about the Health Optimization Summit is I describe it as the consumer electronics show of biohacking, where there's just a huge expo floor full of all these things you can try. And you've usually got some things there that I haven't seen before, that folks haven't come across before, or products that have freshly launched and don't have a lot of market penetration yet. Is there anything like that coming up for the London Summit, or something that was at the Austin Summit that's kind of stuck with you as being really helpful, or at least really intriguing?
Yes, the latest bit of tech that I've been playing around with actually, and I saw it at Brian Johnson's event in Miami first, actually, and it's Neurosim, which you clip onto your ear. What do you call it? This bit here.
I don't know. I just call it the inside of the ear. The other little the little hard bumpy thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so you clip it onto there, and then you set the strength of it, and it sets a shock just slightly, and you can turn the volume up of it to until it becomes almost uncomfortable.
Oh, wait. I think I have one of these, and it just goes on one ear.
Yes,
I
that's
have
right.
one of
Yeah.
these. It arrived at I use it like twice, and I don't know why I didn't use it more, but is it like a ear stimulation of the vagus nerve? Is that what it's doing?
Yeah, exactly. For the left branch of the vagus nerve, apparently it's unsafe to use the right hand side, supposedly, but I'm not quite sure how correct that is. Um, but yeah, so I've been using it now for about 6 weeks, and I found it to be really. I find working with it on to be really great, and I use it. I'm actually using it for 30 minutes twice a day right now. I found that my digestion is slightly better from it. I find that when I'm working out, I seem to have more flexibility, being able to move my spine better. And I've always had postural issues and tight muscles. So I feel like it's really, really working very well. So they are Neurosim. They're at the summit, which is going to be great.
By the way, with Neurostim, I always thought about using it for relaxation. So the couple of times I used it, I was using it with headphones, and maybe that's why it didn't stick, because it made the left headphone sound weird. But I never thought about just sticking it on. Like, I could be wearing it right now while I'm talking to you, or during a workout. That's it. I mean, I'll have to drag it back out and mess around with it a little bit.
Yeah, I really like it. I really like it. Just on its own, walking around the house,
Yeah.
doing housework, whatever, just leave it on for 30 minutes twice a day. So I think, I think our vagus nerve is so important for so many reasons, and most of us aren't stimulating it enough. We're not doing breath work properly. We're not necessarily stretching in the gym properly. Living sedentary lives. And I think giving it a little shock for 30 minutes twice a day actually works really well. I found that my sleep is slightly better on the days that I use it, minimally, but a little bit better. And my cognitive performance seems to be better as well. So I'm not quite sure what it's doing exactly on a full physiological level, but this is a device I really like. And they haven't paid me to say this, by the way. I just really, really like the device.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to be at the summit in London if people want to
Yeah,
try it.
yeah.
Okay, cool. What about that thing that was in Austin? And I first saw it at the summit in London. It's like the big bed. It's a human regenerator or
Human regenerator.
yeah, the human regenerator. Is that thing still kind of around? Are they going to be at the summit, or because I've only ever seen it at your events, and everybody who tries it really likes it. But how do you describe it to people?
It's a med bed. So first thing is med bed is a new label, I guess. And it's based on cold atmospheric plasma, which is generally used in, focal areas of healing on the body. And what the bed does is it's taken it from a focal treatment, in clinics, to a full bed size. What it is I think it's a 30,000 volt static electricity field that goes over you. And then you have grounding plates on your hands and on your feet. And what this does is it's almost like turbo grounding.
That's what they should have called it, the turbo grounder. 3XZ.
I mean, the thing is, it bloody works. Like, I got this email probably 2022, and as I'm sure you do as well, get loads of emails and everyone's saying that they've got a life-changing device. Please,
Yeah,
Ben, I really need you to use it.
break Olympic records and yada yada yada. Yeah.
And everyone's got this life-saving device and life-saving supplement, and it gets a bit overwhelming. But for some reason, I opened up this email and I read it, and I was just like, actually, cold atmospheric plasma, I'm going to look into this. So I dug into cold atmospheric plasma quite a bit more. Because actually, yeah, this is really scientifically backed, and no one has done it on a full body scale for some reason. But these German engineers had. So they flew me out to Germany, put me up in a hotel, got me to test out the device, and they were very sciencey German tech guys. And I felt so in parasympathetic very quickly, scarily quickly. It's almost like my body was just in a symbiotic, super calm state, in a place where, rest and digest on steroids, basically.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's something in this. And I was yawning like crazy, which I only ever get just at the end of a hyperbaric session, when your body is actually used to more oxygen for a while, and then you go into almost as a starved state of oxygen.
Right. Like rebound hypoxia kind of.
Exactly. And then I find that I start yawning at that point because my body's going, oh, I really like that oxygen. I need more of this stuff. But I had that on the human regenerator, and there's nothing to do with oxygen on there. So I was like, I knew there was something in it. So I used it a few times, and then I spoke to someone that said, oh yeah, I had immune issues for quite a long time, she said, and I used to get warts on my hand quite badly, and I couldn't ever get them cured. So, but after a week of using the human regenerator, the warts went away. So, it's obviously giving the body something it needs, and obviously free of electrons. If you're deficient in electrons, we know what it does to cortisol levels. They either go too high, go too low. The body doesn't heal properly. Then the blood doesn't flow as freely. So having hypergrounding in this context, the human regenerator, is fantastic. And I actually labeled it 2023 Biohack of the Year for me. just because I found it to be so effective. And since then they did the US show, and they sold devices. I think they're 150 or 200K. They sold devices at the show off the floor, which is unusual for a B2C event like that.
What about fitness? Like whether it's devices or protocols or anything new in the whole kind of like fitness department? Because when you go to the expo, you got the Air X and the Carol bike and some of these things that have been staples in the biohacking community or the time efficient exercise space for years. Anything new in the fitness department?
There's a couple of fitness devices coming on board. I can't share them yet because they haven't signed
Gosh
up
darn it.
yet.
Sign up, people. Come on. What are you waiting for?
We've got like literally 3 booths left, so I'm hoping they do sign up. But it's interesting because the whole fitness space is a really interesting space right now, because gyms aren't evolving and yet biohacking labs are. And I'm seeing a big shift in this whole fitness, moving from aesthetics of muscle bros to optimizers, health optimizers, optimizing from the inside out. I mean, just look at our friend Chris Gavin, for instance, hardcore bodybuilder turned biohacker. And I think this is what's really happening to the gym space and the gym industry in general. So yeah, we got a few technologies from this area coming to the show. I won't disclose them just yet, but I think you're going to have some fun on the playground there.
Yeah, I think kind of for better and worse with the whole shift in the fitness space towards cold baths, PMF, recovery boots, sauna, time efficient exercise. I think you also run the risk of people forgetting that at the end of the day, you do have to just like lift heavy shit, and it kind of sucks. And you do need like some iron and sometimes an unpredictable kettlebell or sandbag instead of a machine. I every week when I work out, I'm always thinking, okay, am I slipping into that category of just like strapping myself into some fancy machine, or can I still carry a sandbag up the driveway,
Yeah, it's a very valid point. I think this is one of the things a certain biohacker gets slammed for, because some of them don't want to work out, but they want the results from
right. 6-pack abs
it
in 15 minutes a week, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's one of the things that actually I like the Carol bike very much. I mean, minimum effective dose exercise is kind of smart. But you're missing the psychology aspect of working out.
I like it, but then at the same, like I went on a 2.5 hour hike 2 mornings ago, and there is just something different mentally, physically, the rigorous nature of it, the necessity of the shift towards fat burning. If you're not doing something like that fed, and I think there's benefits of that. And just the time spent on your feet. Like when I used to race Ironman, I was the minimalist training guy, but even for me and all my athletes, we always had at least one session per week where we were going past just like the quick 30-40 minute hit sessions and getting 2 hours on the feet out on the running trail, or 4 hours in the bike saddle just to get the butt used to what that feels like. And I realize that's racing specific, but I do think there's something about just some long endurance session outdoors, or again, like lifting a kettlebell or a sandbag, that a stationary bicycle or an exercise machine is difficult. It's difficult to simulate with.
I love that you said this, actually. It's really funny because I was in Greece, Corfu, last weekend. I went for a holiday, but I know the owner of the hotel, and we're going to do a retreat, Health Optimization VVIP retreat for about 100 people.
Oh, cool.
Next April. And it's funny because my friend who owns the hotel said, let's go for a hike tomorrow morning. And it was early, and I was like, it's going to get hot. And I started coming up with all these excuses in my head, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I committed and did it. And we did this hike all the way up the top, behind, and it's like all through these paths and everything. And I remember going up this rock where someone probably 300 years ago chiseled out the side of the rock, so there's steps up in the side of it, and I'm like, my calves are killing. This is absolutely insane. If I was in a gym now, I would have stopped 10 minutes ago.
Right.
But I'm still going through necessity because I have to get to this peak up there. There's a real goal and I can't go back because I look weak, and I want to get to the top and see the view. And it's like, actually, this is going to kill tomorrow. Fantastic. And it's like the necessity of doing the random stuff and climbing up and moving around. And so it's funny you've touched on that.
Yeah, if you were on the Steramil during that time in the gym, you probably would have moved on to the percussion gun or stability ball. But yeah, when you're when it's out there in the wilderness, you just got to keep going. I'm interested in the Greek. I love grape leaves and feta cheese and ouzo liqueur. So keep me posted on that. The Greece is a country I haven't been to. So the speaking of grape leaves, what about the whole like food and beverage space? Because there's always some new bar or protein powder or camel yak goat milk chimera combo or whatever. What about that space? Is there anything new, whether new vendors or new things you've come across?
There's a few bits and pieces on the floor in terms of food, and in fact, this is the last area of the hall that we curate. The reason being is that we fill up the hall, and then at the end, we open up some startup or smaller booths for brands that are trying to break through but can't afford to do an event like ours, to be honest. And it's how I support startups and smaller brands. And generally, the food brands generally are newer, smaller startups that they can't afford these things. So we put them on the map last.
Right. It's like the biohacking equivalent of a lemonade stand.
Yeah, basically. And I like to support these guys because, unfortunately we are in London and we are in a very prestige venue with lots of expensive things going on and, very, very high risk financially and very low reward financially, but an amazing fun playground. And it's an event that I always wanted for myself. So it's great. But yeah, to support some of these smaller brands that come in last minute is really important. So there are some, I can't disclose them just yet. There is one that I do support that I love very much, and it's a brand called Foodie, Fudi.
Okay.
They were there last year, and they are healthy oils, all ethical healthy oils. So really good olive oils, a spray one that hasn't got any of the nasty additives in it to make it thin and stuff, and healthy fats and things like that. So I'm seeing actually a trend of a few different brands of healthy olive oils and things like that now coming out from,
Do
Europe.
you think that's like riding on the back of the Brian Johnson olive oil thing or something like the seed oil craze or just a combination of factors?
A combination of everything. I mean, if you look at that's one of the things about Maha, again, politics to one side because I don't want to get into that, but um Maha really is driving innovation because so many companies are now going, okay, we need a seed oil free version of this because we want to be first to market with this new thing. Or it's driving so many areas of innovation and health now from these chemicals. And I think, big industries are going, okay, we're going to have to change our compliance. Do we want to be ahead of this? Are we going to go and acquire some of these brands now and bring them in? And so it's really interesting to see how many products are coming out because I've heard this so many times from smaller brands now. They're going, well, actually, we were the first in the market with this. We're scaling like crazy. And we know that we're going to get acquired in a couple of years' time because all the big industries are now looking at this stuff that we've been talking about for 10 years. So there are a few of those brands there. In fact, one of them, when we were in Austin, we went out for dinner and I took my mentee, Gaetan, the founder of Mythos,
Yeah.
with
He
us.
has like the face tallow stuff.
Yeah,
What's it
exactly.
called again?
And yeah, Mythos men and Mythos women. Yeah, so it's copper peptides, so it repairs the collagen matrix, and niacinamide to help increase blood flow, to get the nutrients in, and then microfiltered tallow for the nutrients. And it just works. The amount of people that come up to me in the street and say, "Tim, I love your face cream." I'm like, I'm an investor in it because I just love supporting the 25-year-old founder, and the product just works. But that's a classic example of how someone, in fact, like I told you when we went for dinner, he spent 10 hours a day working in a steel factory 2 years ago, listening to Ben Greenfield podcasts, hearing about these crazy things like tallow, and then created this product, which is now scaling like absolutely nuts. Like he's gone from, being an employee to having a very successful company in no time just because the market really needs products like this.
Yeah, and inspirational, by the way, that somebody can go from steel factory to pursuing their dream and creating a health product.
After listening to the Ben Greenfield
Of
podcast for 10
course,
hours a
yeah,
day.
yeah,
I'm not,
yeah.
I'm not joking.
Leave
Seriously.
that part in.
I don't
I
think you
should
knew this, but
probably just be getting more royalty checks from more people after inspiring them to start weird businesses.
it's funny because like I didn't know the full story of everything before, but when he sat down and across the table from you and I don't think you knew this, but he was just sitting there like,
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I'm sitting across the table from Ben Greenfield, who I learned from. It's like quite
Yeah,
hilarious.
and
Bless
he,
him.
I remember he just didn't get into, I guess it's called, I learned this new word a few months ago, pink labeling, where you take a product that you're producing and produce a female specific version. That was called like pink labeling, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like greenwashing as well,
Yeah, or
which is
pink
the one where you
washing.
put it in
Yeah.
green.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in fact, my ex-partner kept on nicking my Mythos skin cream so much because it worked better than her stuff that we decided we'd bring out a female one, add another peptide in it for female skin, and then it doubled the company overnight.
Yeah.
And it just works. It just really works. So yeah.
What do you think about that surge? Because like JJ Virgin has JJ, I love you. I'm not totally in love with the name yet, but she has like Sheatine, which is like a female version of creatine. I guess I just think it sounds a little too close to like Shiat. Um, to me at least, but I could be wrong. Sorry, JJ. I know that JJ, by the way, is responsible for naming my book Boundless, so I know she knows how to name stuff. But so she's got Sheatine, and then your buddy's doing like the female version of Mythos. What do you think of this seeming surge towards female specific products?
I think it's bloody fantastic because back in 2019, when I started the summit, my at the time COO or event manager, Dasha, being female and had her health issues for years, said, female health is super important, but biohacking is very bro science, all the biohackers are male. There's no real female biohackers. So what that's done is it's now fueled so many more female biohackers to come out there. I mean, we got role models like JJ, and we got people like Alicia Vitti, and we've got Jolene Brighton, and we got all of these, some Mindy Pels as well. I mean, and Mindy's gone mainstream. I mean, she's grown amazingly, and now we've got the generation that's peri and postmenopausal and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things. So it's really great that the female space is growing. And
Yeah.
as the female space is growing, so are like products and brands that fit that category. Obviously, females are far more intuitive than us guys for the most part, and they know what they need naturally. And a lot of them, sit with more natural products a lot of the time. But education is a key piece. And I think, how many times have you heard in the last however many months, women that have been on the pill and been on Accutane and had, all sorts of hormone issues and liver stress and acne and, you
Yeah.
know, it's widespread. And I think female health has been so
Yeah. There's consequences to artificial cycle suppression, believe it or not.
massively. And I think because of pregnancy and fertile years and how studies work and how men are so stable through the hormones throughout the month, and it's a better baseline for doing tests, women have kind of been sidelined, unfortunately. But now it's swung back round the other way, and there's a lot of innovation in the space for females. Sheatine is perfect. I think it's a funny name now you say it like that, but I think you know one thing I've learned in the last year or so is many good new brands that come out are just better at promoting and branding something so people understand the value of it. And there's a creatine brand I heard about last week, a couple of weeks ago, that are doing 30 million a year in creatine monohydrate. And what have they done? They've just branded it better.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a huge part of it. And also the female demographic, I don't know if you know Angelo. Have you met Angelo, my CEO and co-founder at Keon?
I've spoken to him many times, but never met
Yeah,
him.
he great guy. We should get him out to one of the summits sometime. But we were talking demographics the other day. Our top customer base by far at Keon is like the 50 to 55-year-old female demographic who is super interested in health, wants to spend money on good supplements. And it's interesting because, at least I would have thought, looking at some of our products like aminos and creatine and protein powder, that it would be like maybe a 30 to 45-year-old male demographic. But older females are probably the top demographic in the world right now, interested in health, biohacking, fitness, pretty much anything related to body optimization.
Yeah, I mean, they're much more intuitive, and now it's much more pro female. Um, yeah, I just want to jump back onto one of the technologies actually that people get to try at the summit, because I've just remembered one.
Okay.
Seen my notes stupidly. Monk ice baths.
Oh, yeah. People hear about a brand of ice baths though, and they're like, well, what could be different? Or they're all just cold water.
Yeah, I mean, this is a smart ice bath with, I think it's ozone filtering, and it looks fantastic. I mean, it's proper show home stuff, but with a really good
I
price.
saw it last year. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's very pretty. They've launched recently. They look fantastic, and yeah, I'm really excited for them to be back at the summit. I mean, ice baths really are mainstream now as well. I mean, everyone seems to have.
Yeah. I mean, it's June here. I'm in mine like 3 times a day. But you know what I started using? I finished building one in my garage. I got a generator from this company called Lumati, Lumati. It's a hydrogen bath, meaning like you get a pre-existing bathtub, and I put this just out in the garage, and then you connect it to a water inlet. The water flows in through the hydrogen unit, hydrogenates the water, and then that's what you bathe in. And you get massive amounts of transdermal hydrogen absorption in the bath. I've done it. I mean, I just finished the bath last week. I've done 3 soaks now, and you just feel like pain free, low levels of soreness, pretty much anything you get from a high dose of hydrogen, but you just lay there in the bath.
Mm. It's funny because the first time I went around Gary Brecker's house, we went around to record a podcast, and he was busy. And it's like, dude, just enjoy my biohacking castle for a while. And he's like, I'm going to put you in this bath. And he's like, turned on the bath, and hydrogen water comes out almost milky into the bath. And he's just like, there I am. In my Y fronts, pretty much, with my Calvins, skinny little dude next to Gary, who's like a monster, and like sitting in this little bath. The first time I've gone around Gary's house, and I'm like, dude, you do some weird shit.
Yeah. Well, you
So,
know what? I've been I saw a hydrogen inhalation unit next to my Roxiva lamp. So I lay there and do my Roxiva session with a hydrogen mask on. And now I'm taking hydrogen baths. So I went from doing like the pills every day to now I just decided to go. And next thing it'll be like a hydrogen, like enema or suppository or something. But I'm just going for as many delivery mechanisms as possible with hydrogen. And it works.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I I've been it's one of my hacks that I really appreciated this year very much was, and Gary got me onto this as well. Actually, was the hydrogen Echo water bottle. Um, I didn't realize that Gary was like, dude, you've got to look into this hydrogen stuff. And this was like a year and a half ago now. Dude, you got to check this stuff out. So, and I started using it religiously, and I found that when I went carnivore and I added in creatine at 20 grams, and I was having hydrogen water throughout the day, literally the best I've ever felt in my entire life. I literally felt like a hot knife going through warm
Wait, it
butter.
was carnivore hydrogen and what else?
And creatine, the
Okay.
3.
Huh.
And I felt alive. I mean, after I lost too much body fat, I needed to add in some carbs again, so I couldn't be fully carnivore for too long, being a ectomorph, hard gainer, skinny dude.
So the event in London, I encourage a lot of people to go, and I realize many people listening in, they're like, "Man, I want to like buy an international plane ticket and go all the way over there for like a health conference." But talk to me about what goes on. Like, how do you describe the London summit to people?
3,500 to 4,000 people, one massive, great, naturally lit hall in the center of London with 35 to 40 now keynote speakers such as yourself, Gary Brecker, Peter Crone, Rangan Chatterjee, Barbara O'Neill. The list goes on, like all top tier speakers, with 8 talks on each stage, 3 stages a day, a playground of 140 brands, ranging from red light therapy, ice baths from Monk, for instance, Carol Bike, Catalyst EMS suit. You can try out the
It is kind of
technologies,
nice because you don't
foods.
have to work out before you go because there's just like cold baths and workout equipment all over.
One thing I always think about whenever I see you at an event anywhere, and you're always able to test stuff out. And how do you get past everyone that stops you just for Ben? Just need 30 seconds. Just want
My
to ask you
oh
something.
oh,
And
I
like,
have a super simple secret. I'm really good at being an asshole. That's I'll avoid eye contact. Be like, you know what? I'm going to work out right now. You can follow me and talk to me while I'm doing a chest press on the ARX if you want.
There's every wrap up video from every summit I've ever been to. There's you in an ice bath. There's you doing a carol. There's you having IV, and I'm like, do you know what? I've only been able to walk across the hall for 2 minutes.
I talk to a lot of speakers who go to these events, and they do a great job networking, and in the green room with the other speakers. And I can't help myself, dude. Like, I am actually in this industry because I love it, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. Even when I go to a conference with stuff I've even seen before, for me, it's just like a playground. All my friends are running around. I get to try crap, and I'm pretty bad at just like standing around and sitting still and talking to people. So, I just go out there and mess around with shit, and then that's I don't know. I love it.
Even when you're in a talk, right? And I've seen you at quite a few talks these days. Even when you're in a talk, you're at the back stretching, like leaning up against the wall, pulling your legs out, doing all sorts of different things. It's like it's very active approach. But I'm in the space because I love it too, and that's why I created the Health Optimization Summit, so I could enjoy the event and playground. It's almost like, I felt like I built it for me, but I can't quite get to enjoy it fully because it's quite a stressful thing to run. But everything that I try throughout the year and more, everything's vetted by me. Nothing makes it to the show without my approval. It's, all approved, no CDORs, no nasty additives. If there's a supplement that's got something like silicon dioxide in it, for instance, I say you can exhibit on the agreement that you do remove it from your next version, so that way people get to try these and get to know this stuff. So it's a really big playground for health. But the most important thing is the health community, making friends. I knew no one in this space when I started my meetup in 2017. No one. I had no friends in the health space at all. Now I have friends in every country around the world who are incredibly heartfelt, amazing humans because they're all been humbled by either health problems or they want to make the world a better place. Some amazing friends. Like, for instance, when I mentioned Gary again because I was so astounded by how much of an amazing mission-led human he was when I met him. He was like, dude, wherever you are, like, I'm with you. Like, mission-led, nothing else.
That dude's got a really
Yeah.
big heart.
And this space is full of these of guys that are just out to help make the world a little bit better than they found it. And
Yeah.
that's what I take from going to these shows. It's like you make some incredible friends. Like JJ, for instance, I'd wanted to meet JJ for many years, and I saw her at A4M in Vegas a couple of years ago. Walked past her, I just like, that's JJ. I gotta say hello. Next thing I know, we're working together. She's speaking at the events. I go to her events. I got to know her husband, Tim, well, and it's just fantastic. Everyone wants to make the world a little bit better. And I think you get to meet those tribe. You get opportunities to hang out with these people. You get to start a new business in this space. You get to make the world a little bit better instead of just working behind a desk for a cause that you don't even know or believe in. And I think that's what I take from the event. And that's why I like to be the health community guy, because I see podcasts happen. I see people hanging out. I see photos of people hanging out around the world that have met at the show. And it's just so rewarding, on a deep level of legacy and helping to make the world a little bit better. So that's why I recommend coming to the show.
There's obviously a lot of new faces in the industry in terms of like experts and influencers. One guy that comes to mind who I haven't interviewed yet, but he's on my radar for sure. Super smart. Nick Norwitz. He's like an MD, PhD, like public science educator on YouTube. So has a pretty good head on his shoulders. He's one guy I've kind of taken note of as somebody who seems credible and knowledgeable, putting out good content. Nick, it's Nowitz or Norwitz. I think Norwitz. Anybody you think of as like an up and comer to keep your eye on, or someone whose content you would recommend that people follow when it comes to maybe a new name or face people haven't seen before?
Dr. Karen Rajan, he's very big on Instagram, YouTube, and his podcast. I think he's got like 20 million followers across the platforms. He's a UK doctor, NHS doctor, but he, kind of picks holes in where it's got it wrong. So he's quite instrumental in helping to change the UK NHS, I think.
How do you spell his name?
Dr. Karan, Karan.
Okay.
And then Rajan, Rajan. And he's quirky. He's a great dude. Actually, he's we became friends quite quickly because he's just such a good dude. He talks about gut health a lot and fiber and how to optimize microbiome and things. So yeah, Dr. Karan Rajan, he's a great guy. You'll meet him at the show. He's speaking.
Oh, incredible. Of course he is.
And then you've got Barbara O'Neill. the Australian lady. I don't know if you're familiar with her or not. All the alternative healthy cures. So yes, we've got those guys coming. We've got Claudia Muhlenberg, who is the eye health doctor, who looks at the eye health as an indicator that your car service light is on. So if your sight starts to get worse, that's because there's some inflammation or something in the body that needs fixing, and how to figure it out, one through psychology and through biohacking yourself. So that's someone that's up and coming for sure. She did mention that she was on Dave's podcast a few years ago, and it was one of the most popular podcasts of that year. And I found the same when I interviewed on my podcast. She's a fantastic woman as
Do you
well.
think or do you know of an app that would just like take a picture of your eyes and do some kind of a diagnosis based on that? You'd think something like that might exist.
Yeah, I don't know of one.
Hey, if you're listening and you know of one, leave a comment. bengreenfieldlife.com/Tim2025. I'm interested.
Um, who's the other one? Ooh, I like that James Swanwick. Oh, do you know James Swanwick?
Yeah, we just had an alcohol debate on my podcast.
Oh, did you? Is it out? Is it out yet? Because I haven't seen this.
Yeah, so I got some comments. People thought that I was being mean or questioning him too much, but he actually approached me and wanted it to be a debate. So it literally was me as the pro alcohol guy, him as the zero alcohol is good for you guy, and we had a pretty good matchup. Yeah, it's out. I'll link to it in the show notes if people haven't heard it yet. Yeah, you should take a listen. I'd be curious what you think, and if I was too mean.
No, I'll have a listen to that because James is a good friend actually. He was a guy that founded Swanwick blue blocking glasses, which is the OG brand. Yeah, now alcohol-free life is his thing, and it's fantastic. It's doing really well for him, but he's very up and coming in the alcohol-free world, and I think it's good. I mean, we're seeing the trend across the world with alcohol dropping, consumption dropping, and everyone doing sauna and
Right, sauna and magic mushrooms. Yeah, also that. Which I mean, in all respect, like I know that there's questionable aspects of legality and maybe youth use and stuff, but I do think that something like a small dose of psilocybin is technically far more risk-free and can give you many of the socially lubricating benefits you might be looking for from alcohol.
yeah, then I agree. I mean, obviously, in a legal place, with a proper person and in a safe space,
And don't eat the whole chocolate bar.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a really interesting lineup this year. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. We've got Rangan Chatterjee, who is, I think, the biggest health podcaster in Europe. Gary Brecker, Barbara O'Neill, some dude called Ben Greenfield, if you know him. Dr. Josh Axe, Vonda Wright, Dr. Karen Rajan, Alicia Vitti, Davinia Taylor, Dr. Darshan Shah, legend, Dr. Dom Nischwitz.
Man, it's a good lineup.
Oh, and Jay Campbell as well, who I'm really looking forward to hanging out with.
Yes,
he's a good
the
dude.
Yoked peptide guy. Can't have too many yoked dudes at a conference. So also Tim always gives my listeners some pretty cool codes and discounts to get in. And there's also a VIP ticket where you get this super cool VIP lounge and good food. And are you gonna have IVs there again, Tim?
Yep. IVs. The VIP lounge is pretty amazing. I mean, it's a it's an enhanced experience. It's accessible to everyone with the general admission ticket, but the VIP experience is pretty good because you get to hang out in the VIP lounge and chat to speakers and try out a few extra cool things.
If you can't find me, that's usually where I'm at. So bengreenfieldlife.com/HOS25 is where you can register for that. And then I will also put all of my other interviews with Tim, my interview, or my debate, I should say, with James, everything else that we mentioned. If you go to bengreenfieldlife.com/Tim2025, Tim, I'll try the Paracetam Qualia combo and the Neurostim during work, and I'll let you know how I feel when I see you in September.
Yeah, nice one, dude. I want to leave with one note for those of you that are wondering whether you should come to the show, or even if you want to create your own show, which I'm a big fan of. It's not what's in your fridge. It's who you're with when you shop and when you eat. Make sure you surround yourself with the best, because that's when your decisions become better and easier and you all hold each other accountable. And this is such a important point to remember. So come and meet those people, hang out with them, and then
I was hoping you weren't going to go the direction of a serial killer joke and say something like, "It's not what's in your fridge; it's who's in your freezer." So thank you for clarifying. And on that note, folks, thank you so much for listening. I really hope to see a lot of you in London in 2025. It's like September, 15th, 16th, something like that.
12th VIP in the evening, 13th and 14th for the event.
All right, cool. We'll see you there, folks. All right, Tim. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, dude. Cheers.
Hit subscribe, leave a ranking, leave a review if you got a little extra time. It means way more than you might think. Thank you so much.